All right. Facebook Live. We're live in the booth. This is Christian Hunt from Capital City Showcase.
Hello.
He's here with me.
Very excited to be here.
And we're about to do the interview portion of the show. So I wanted to turn it on live. Stay tuned here. We start when this track finishes in about, 45 seconds. We'll get started with the interview.
Countdown has begun.
Let the recording begin, and the countdown has begun. And by the way, shout out if you're listening to Adrian Krigowski. That's who's playing right now on the radio. Or no, actually, it's not him. I apologize. It's Yellow Tie Guy. This is Yellow Tie Guy, and the song is called War. Should I Be So Surprised? So if you listen to the podcast, there's on iTunes, Google Play, there's a podcast. Check it out. That's where all of this stuff that you're hearing on the show and the rest of this interview, it will all be live there. Posted every week. So here we go. Yellow Tie Guy and his track, War. Should I Be So Surprised? So, Christian, tell us a little bit about Yellow Tie Guy. How did you get connected with him?
They referred to me by another actor. I can't remember who exactly referred them to me. This would have been probably 2-3 years ago. But like I said, they're based out of Waldorf, and they have done a great job. But I like Danny Hill, who is the lead singer, whose voice you heard on that track. I really like how passionate he is, not just about himself, but also getting other artists out there. He has this record company, All Chemical Records, and I remember years ago I was invited to do a seminar he had for young musicians, that he had a lot of industry people there, and he's really as equally passionate about promoting everyone else in the scene and promoting other artists as well as himself, and obviously the great music that they're making with Yellow Tie Guy. So.
Wow. And speaking of great music, if you hear about it or if he hears about the stuff, I would love to hear about the stuff. So listeners out there, for you guys, I do have a quick request. If you know of a great DC band, I really want to hear about them. DC, Northern Virginia, Maryland, send me a note. I'm on all the places, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and I've also got the website. You can send me a note through there and share them with me if you could. And if you know the bands personally, send them a message. There's a Submit Music link on dcmusicrocks.com. Have them fill that out so that I can add them to a future show. So, Christian, thanks for bringing some awesome tracks. I know we got a couple more, but first I want a chance to get to know you here and hear the story. So, introduce yourself to us. Tell us about yourself and the Capital City Showcase. How did that come about? Tell us the story.
Sure, I would absolutely love to. So I'd always done performing. I'd always loved performing, whether it was doing theater as a kid, and I always loved music or something like that. Anything that would get me on stage, I always liked. I had gotten away from it after I finished college and wanted to get back into it. And I went to school in Boston, was back in DC, and I really felt that there was a need and a market for having a really good comedy and music show and putting them both together. I was kind of inspired by the old Midnight Special, which is the old 70s late night show that had this really good live music from all the best acts of the time. And I kind of originally envisioned that I would jump right into having it be a show online, basically having it be a live show with taping and having it be that format. And because I also felt that there was a need for having a local aspect of that too, here in DC. And so I had this idea that it's kind of an awesome story, because I had this idea that I would put this pitch together and do all these things and talk to people. This is, of course, at the time, knowing not a single musician, not a single comedian, not knowing anybody, literally just some dude in a red suit.
Wow.
And I grew up in Glover Park, right here in DC, just north of Georgetown, and I just so happened to grow up on the street that Ian MacKaye from Fugazi Minor Threat grew up on.
Oh, wow.
And so I'm trying to get some ideas about how and where to start. I reached out to him, because I got his contact info from people in the neighborhood, and sure enough, he was just super nice, super cool, and I chatted with him, and he said something that really kind of set my head in the right place. He said, if you want to pitch something, go to New York or LA. In DC, we do things. And that kind of was the snap, and that kind of put me in the right headspace. And 6 weeks later, we had our first show, and I reached out. I was working with a good friend of mine. His name was Pete Bergen, who has a great comedy show and company called the Chinese Menu Comedy. put me
Yeah.
in contact with some comedians. I was able to. I knew some friends personally that had bands, and just kind of started doing it. And we started at the DC Art Center in Adams Morgan, and started having a show every month, and that's kind of the rest is history. And I've been doing it ever since.
How long's it been now? When was that?
It's been 6 years. So it's been 6 years. So
years.
yeah, we started
Wow.
the first show. It's actually almost exactly 6 years because the first show was August 28th of 2010. So.
Wow. And you mentioned the red suit. When I go to Capital City Showcase, if you go to capitalcityshowcase.com, you can find out about this show. And he's wearing a red, like we're talking red suit. Where did the red suit, what's the story there?
Well, I wanted it to look like the DC flag. For those who may not know the DC flag with the 3 red stars and the 2 red stripes, I wanted to kind of look like the DC flag came to life as something, there's some kind of a visual stamp on the show. I underestimated, because when you grow up here, you know that, but I underestimated how many people may not have known that, so people didn't quite get it at first. I got a lot of things like, are you dressing up like some sort of fruit, like are you a strawberry? Are you? I got Santa and Satan interchangeably, and my favorite was Suge Knight. I would get at least one person every show that would say, "Hey, what's up, Suge?" So, and so when I actually went to Alamo Flags and bought a DC flag pin, so I can just kind of point to it and say, "No, it's DC flag coming to life." So that's where that comes from. It's probably time for a new one, though. I think it might be time. It's certainly seen better days. It's been a very trusty suit especially for what I paid for it, but which was not much. So I think it might be time to reward myself with a new suit.
That Macklemore song about thrift shop.
Oh yeah.
No. Oh man.
Maybe a whisker above, but.
So then you were talking about 6 years of history. Tell us about like proudest or coolest moments. What comes to mind when you think back on 6 years? What sticks out as really cool Capital City Showcase moments?
Probably the biggest moment would be, I can't remember exactly what year it was, but we did a show, one of the shows I'm most proud of, we did a show at the now closed Riot Act Theater, and it was in the middle of the week, but we still had 200 people come out.
Wow.
And it was, we had a lot of, just all these awesome musicians, all these awesome comedians, everyone did an amazing job with it, and it was kind of the pinnacle of exactly what I wanted to do with the show, and that was just an awesome experience. So that was, and we just had a lot of everyone just really responded really well. It was just a fantastic show, fantastic atmosphere, kind of across the board, exactly what I was going for, and that was very cool. Also doing Capitol Fringe 2 years ago was also a great experience because I just took a lot of pride in the fact that I was able to do 6 full lineups, really high quality lineups. Because it was, 5 different lineups, I think. That's right, 5 lineups with 6 acts each. It was all different. So we did a run at Fringe with 5 different shows, 5 different lineups that were all fantastic. Because for me, that was kind of what I took the most pride in, just the fact that we're able to do high quality shows and have that many people come out and have that many different kinds of diverse and interesting lineups was just a real stand for me for sure.
Wow, that's cool. And 2 things I remembered while you were talking that, by the way, if you're listening, we are doing a Facebook Live video. We are live right now. So if you'd like to see Christian, I've also got him live on video. I've caught him in as many ways as I can. So if you want to see him, check out the Facebook Live video. It'll be available after the show as well. And I also wanted to ask, so for folks who don't know the Capital City Showcase, if they're going to come attend a show, what is the show like? Tell us about the show. What can they expect?
Sure. Well, I recently tweaked the format just a little bit, so now what you'll expect is you'll have a headlining comic and then a headlining musical act with at least two comedy openers and then a musician opener.
Wow, okay.
This Friday.
So at least 5 different acts?
Exactly, yeah.
Wow.
And like this Friday, for example, we will be at Atlas Brew Works over in Northeast.
Okay.
Again, you can find all of our stuff, capitalcityshowcase.com. We got Tommy Simbazo, comedian from Baltimore. He was Baltimore's funniest comedian in 2014. A band called Fellowcraft, which I'm hearing great things about.
I've heard that too.
I mean,
yeah.
Especially their drummer. I've heard is just...
Oh, you flatter me.
Not only is he an amazing drummer, but also handsome. And then two amazing comics as well, Chelsea Short and Danny Charnley, and who you've already heard today, Rachel Levin, will be there as well. So you're going to get a good variety of comedy and music, and again, that's all for really all $10 for a reasonable price.
Wow, yeah, and at a brew place,
Yeah.
which means there's going to be great beer and
Fantastic
beverages
beer,
and
exactly right.
some snacks. It sounds like a pretty cool event.
Yeah.
And that's this Friday, so that would make it what is that?
August 12th, 8 o'clock.
Okay. 8 o'clock, and their tickets are.
The tickets are available. You can do they'll be available at the door, but there's also they're on pre-sale as well, and you can find all the info on that at capitalcityshowcase.com.
Capital City Showcase. Okay, so more about you now. You've been at this for 6 years. Where does this go now? Is there a vision? Is there a goal? How does it work?
Yeah, so it's kind of funny because it's in many ways it's kind of coming full circle because as I mentioned before, when 6 years ago when I started, my original vision was doing it as a digital show and having it on, whether it be online or public access. That was kind of the things I was thinking about. So now, finally getting into that phase of it, we have our first short that we taped that we're in the process of editing right now, and really expanding what we do with that, whether it's going to be a combination of original content, whether again DC themed skits, that kind of thing, whether it's also tapings of the actual live show that we do at different venues, those kind of things, and just expanding on that portion of it. So we now unlike 6 years ago, we've got a lot of I've got connections now with a lot of these great artists that are chomping at the bit to do those kind of things. So that's kind of certainly in the short term. And the first 5 years we were at the DC Arts Center in Adams Morgan, which was a fantastic space. It's really caters to young artists and to new artists, and to do whatever you really want to do and experiment with other things that you want to do. Definitely check that out if you're a new artist looking for venues. So especially like I didn't have any connections at all, so they were really willing to work with me, which was amazing. So now what we're doing is to kind of get the word out a little bit more, doing it at different venues every month. Like in May, for example, we were in Acre 121. In June, we were in the Wonderland Ballroom. Obviously, we'll be at Atlas Brewworks this week, and we're lining up dates for the fall right now to different venues every month to continue to grow and continue. Because the nice thing about that is it gives us more ability to get more different kinds of acts. Because it was DC Arts Center, as awesome as it is, a little tight, a little small, and tight windows were set up. So we did have bands there, but it was a little bit tighter for that. Whereas now with the different venues, we can do a little bit more of an expansive show, which I'm really looking forward to.
Wow. Okay, so with all of this now, you've been at it for 6 years. I always love to ask the guests, what if you had one piece of advice that you would offer, what would that piece of advice be for DC musicians, and what would it be for DC music fans?
Gotcha.
What would you say?
So for DC musicians, and this is because I thought about this before, people have asked me about this before, and I think it really just applies to any artist and really any field, to be perfectly honest. And it sounds somewhat cliche, but I really can't stress it enough. Be someone, some person, some artist, band, whatever you're doing, be someone that people want to work with. And what I mean by that is, you spend, as well, obviously you have to spend so much time on whatever it is you're doing, whether your music, your art, your comedy. In my case, what I work with, you spend a lot of time on that. It's almost a shame to see that kind of sometimes wasted when you're not someone who's either people want to work with for whatever the reasons would be. But those kind of focusing on just having not only a great attitude, willingness to work with other people, but the professionalism, showing up on time. That all sounds basic, and you wouldn't think I would need to say that, but it's true. It's really true. And so when you're, especially because something coming from me, who's most certainly been more on the booking side and the promoting side, you want to, if you're as good musically as say as another band, and you have the same following as another band, but you're just a little bit more difficult to work with, someone like me who's booking shows are going to be more inclined to go to that band who is really easy to work with. So don't, as hard as you're working on the promotion, as hard as you're working on your music, don't underestimate how important that part of it is. And then far as DC music fans, in many ways, I think, as music fans in DC in any region, we're kind of spoiled today. And the reason I say that is because there's so much, and it's amazing. It's really an amazing time to be doing any sort of art really, but especially music, because there's so much at people's disposal, whether it's awesome shows like this, where there's DC Music Download, Listen Local First, Variety Sung Things, and different blogs and different people that are having all these awesome outlets to be passionate about, and really reasonably priced shows. So now you can go out and get an amazing show for really, really reasonable price. You don't have to break the bank. So, and there's and not only that, there's resources to find those shows that are even easier.
Yeah,
I've talked to musicians that were around 15, 20, 30 years ago, where it was the flyering and the bulletin board, and that was like the community bulletin board was really, the main source of marketing. Now it's literally at your fingertips. So,
wow.
So I would just, if you're a fan of music, just in DC, just find those blogs, find those people, like Brian and among others that are really putting it out there, because it really is more at your disposal than ever before. So I would just keep on supporting and keep looking.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, so you had a couple more tracks that you and I'm assuming these are all artists that have been on the showcase.
Yes, all
okay.
Rachel, Yellow Taiga, and the other artists I have coming up have all showcase veterans, as I like to say.
Awesome. Well, then tell us about this next showcase veteran. What do you got for us?
Our next song is going to be Elbow Grease by my good friend Adrian Krygowski.
Ooh. Yeah, okay. Ugh. Sometimes the chord is a little funny. It's so funny that you're broadcasting on radio and yet a faulty chord and
Oh yeah,
the whole right side stereo sound goes out and okay, and last one, Justin Trewick and the common good. Goodbye. All right, and to my Facebook Live folks, you rock. Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll see you next time for the next show.